sure. For me, the saxophone, I started playing saxophone when I was 12 years old. And I did not have much music background before that time. But I had two older sisters who played clarinet and flute, respectively. And when it was time for me to start band, I asked my sisters, which instrument should I play? They said, play the saxophone because it's so pretty. And even as a child, I thought the instrument looked just beautiful with its S shape and its gold color and its many keys. So I was always attracted to the looks of the saxophone. And of course, I loved the sound of the saxophone. That moment came when my band director in high school heard me play. And he heard something, or he saw something special in what I was doing with the saxophone. And he believed that I could do a career in music if that was where my heart took me. Before he showed this interest in me, I had had a very special experience as a musician when I went to a room and heard a classical saxophone playing on a recording. And I had never heard classical saxophone. And at that moment, I did not even know it was a saxophone. It was a big surprise for me. And when I found out it was a saxophone, it changed my life. I think many musicians have epiphanies. I think many times there's one moment where something shifts in our lives, where we're going in one direction and something happens that takes us in a different direction. And that moment was when it was for me. Okay, I think one of the biggest challenges for me was deciding to swim with the school of fish or to go against the grain like a salmon and go upstream. As a classical saxophonist, our instrument is new in many ways, and we are cutting paths every day we play. It's not as clear of a path as some of the other instruments have. Violin has orchestra, or they can play chamber music. They have many possibilities. Classical saxophone does not have those possibilities, but it does have a myriad of possibilities. So we must decide what is the best path we want to take and how to get there. It is wonderful to look at the models and our mentors who have done it before us and to follow them. But at the same time, we must find our own way. We cannot be afraid to cut a brand new path and go away. So that is what I mean by swimming with the school or being like a salmon and going your own way against the tide, against the current. Balance. It's very simple. I think to be a great musician, to be a great artist, it is about balance. What makes a great artist great is life experience. Of course, it's a mastery of his or her instrument or craft. But I find balance to be one of the greatest challenges, but one of the most fulfilling things in my life. I'm a professor at Indiana University, and I have a wonderful job with many wonderful students. I'm a husband, and I'm a father of 4 children. And besides those things, I concertize as a classical saxophonist. So for me, I want to be very balanced as a professional, but also as a man. I have hobbies. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy the outdoors, but I enjoy my family the most. And I have no question that my children have helped me with my perspective about what is important. My wife has helped me. My wife, who happens to also be a fine musician, she's a wonderful pianist. She has helped me to be a balanced musician in many ways. Being a musician, we're not normal as people. We spend a lot of time alone practicing. And we are so concentrated on small details of our craft, trying to improve little by little over a long time. And so we can be extremely focused. But sometimes we must know when to just back away a little bit. Because sometimes, just sometimes, when you see something from afar, you can see it very clearly. While when you see it up close and you're in that action, it's too magnified. You cannot understand it. So I think having people around you who love you and care about you and who will help guide you in that way helps balance. But I believe we must try to just follow an even balanced life in every way. My students, seeing my students. For me, my career as a performer, and I travel a fair amount, teaching and playing. For me, it's about my students. My experiences in Japan, my experiences in Europe, wherever I may travel with this saxophone, I'm hoping to bring something back to my students at home to share with them. Because for me, my students, I feel, are my best, I think as a musician, the musician, him or herself, is his or her own best teacher. You are your own best teacher as a musician. But my students come in a close second. I learned so much from students. Perhaps the most important advice is to follow their hearts from the inside. Only they know the direction that they must take. No one can tell you what you should do with your life. And referring to a previous question about when I mentioned about the salmon, we should be like a salmon. During much of the salmon's life, he's going with the tide. He's going with the school of other fish, like a normal fish. But at a very important time in the salmon's life, it turns and comes back upstream and fights against the current. And it fights hard, and it always wins. The salmon always make it back to lay their eggs. So I think that we should know when to go this direction, but we must know when to turn around and fight to get back. Follow our hearts. And as musicians, my golden rule to being a musician is I want to be like a child with my instrument, with my art. I want to have fun. I want to focus on it. I just want to frolic in the moment, I love the saxophone. And sometimes when we do something for our career, we forget about how fun that thing is. And so just simply be like a child for all of your life. Yamaha makes the best saxophones in the world. I'm privileged to play a Yamaha saxophone. I'm privileged to travel to Japan to meet the people who make the Yamaha saxophones, to work with the people who make the Yamaha saxophones. As a corporation, as a company, I can travel to any country in the world, and there is Yamaha. And when I step off of an airplane, there are my Yamaha friends to help me. So it is a wonderful relationship with Yamaha.